so many toppers who have attempted Abhyaas, and so many of them got a great help from this also, like our rank one, right? Aditya Srivastav has also been a part of the Abhyaas program. And I think a lot of aspirants we meet are first of all contemplating that, am I ready? Should I write the exam? Should I go? Will I be able to go? So that balance is very important. If you're reading something from current affairs, you need to go back and read the static part of that, right?
Hello dear aspirants, welcome to the special series of discussion on UPSC Prelims Preparation 2024. Today we have with us Jasmine ma'am, a faculty for General Science at VisionIAS. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you, Mrigank.
Ma'am, UPSC is on 16th of June and now there are almost 2 months remaining. In this crucial juncture, what are the challenges that students are facing?
I think, Mrigank, to start with, when you come this close to the exam, aspirant who has been preparing for 1 year, the biggest question is he is full of doubts because he has studied so much. And I think a lot of aspirants we meet are first of all contemplating that, am I ready? Should I write the exam? Should I go? Will I be able to go? So this lack of motivation because of the overwhelming amount of content he has grasped over the last 1 year, that is one very, very big challenge, very big struggle. The other thing is that with this exam, because of the sheer momentum of content, the strategy design is always complicated. And as you come closer to the exam, you have to think of how do I revise, how much do I revise, which subject do I revise, where do I start, and how do I compile, and am I on track? That's also one very big question on the minds of our aspirants, that are things going okay? What needs to be done more? What needs to be done less? So the main challenge which aspirants are struggling with is the sources which they are supposed to refer, how much time is supposed to be devoted, everything, and how are they supposed to analyze their preparation, where they are. So this kind of, the whole thing comes together and creates a lot of aspirants. The more closer they'll go to the exam, the more confused situation ends up being for them.
Yes ma'am. So ma'am, in this context, what is your advice for the students in tackling these challenges?
Amrikang, I think the biggest way to get over these challenges is to understand what the exam is expecting from you. The realism of the exam's requirement and the reality check on your preparation, both things are very important. It's not possible to ever feel that I know everything. That feeling will not come. If aspirants keep on waiting for that, that will never happen. They have to understand that what they are preparing, what they have studied, they need to know that well. So revision will play a very important part here. When they keep revising, their confidence will keep building up. And these last few days are for that revision. The second aspect is the analytical part, where they are going to analyze their performance. And that's how they will actually develop a strategy of how they are supposed to attempt questions in the exam. I feel a lot of students miss this point. They keep studying and they're not checking how much they know. So they need to prioritize this, especially as they go closer to the exam. And appropriately, it is important that equal emphasis is given to all parts of the syllabus. UPSC has released a syllabus. They need to make sure that they are doing equal justice to all parts of the syllabus so that they can be able to attempt the maximum number of questions which can give them those marks which then can help them cross over the cutoff.
So ma'am, you have highlighted some key points. If I have to summarize, you have highlighted about the vastness of the paper where they'll have to cover a lot of aspects, and that too in a stipulated time. So ma'am, one of the major challenge that the students are facing now is time management, because they have to cover current affairs, they have to cover static portion, and also revision schedule, which you have just highlighted. So ma'am, how can a student maintain a balance here?
See, again, time management, less than 60 days now. The idea is that, of course, you cannot have some very extensive ideas to cover new sources or, to indulge in maybe a new book or anything like that. You have to make best of whatever you have studied. And you need to have a plan. It's very important that day by day, the student plans everything. like if I have to make a specific suggestion, I would suggest that maybe leaving the last 15 days of June till 31st of May, there should be a plan. From today till 31st of the May, a student should have a plan, and that plan should include how many tests he has to give, what will be the frequency of those tests, what will be those tests. It should be predominantly, in my suggestion, it should be full length tests because they give a more comprehensive understanding of your preparation. And he should divide that, okay, every 3 days, every 4 days, this is the test I'm going to give. And then subjects also he has to divide that, okay, this subject I will study. And that duration or emphasis on different subjects, that he can change depending on, as he's writing tests, he'll understand that, okay, this subject needs more work, this needs less. So there is a possibility of fine tuning it, but there should be a broad line plan. As far as current affairs are concerned, of course, current affairs is going to be the biggest source from where questions are going to be asked. Even if they are not exactly current affair questions, there will be some reference to current affairs in different questions. But what happens is sometimes students overemphasize on current affairs and leave the static part behind, especially in the last few days. So that balance is very important. If you're reading something from current affairs, you need to go back and read the static part of that, right? If you're reading a news item which is talking about elections, you need to go back and see what are the provisions for elections, how the election commission works. That whole idea has to go in sync. So rather than separating it, I would recommend that students have a plan subject-wise and they pick up current affairs also linked to that subject so that a holistic preparation works. But yes, 60 days, or I should say 45 days, should be in a planned format that is going to make sure that they do the best utilization of their time.
Ma'am, thank you for sharing your insights. With respect to current affairs, ma'am, now there are only 2 months left and there are ample sources for current affairs. If we talk about current affairs, there are current affairs magazines, a dilemma whether to carry on reading the newspapers or not, whether to look at Sunset TV and other important sources. So, ma'am, what would be your advice to students in covering current affairs in these last 2 months?
I think from prelims perspective, I would say again, revision will be primary. We would like to believe that aspirants have been preparing for 1 year and that preparation includes their preparation of current affairs. So whatever current affairs source they have been following, like maybe they're following monthly magazines, those magazines now need revision, because consolidation, if it is not happening in current affairs, considering it's so factual in nature, if you're not revising it, it's going to be of no benefit. So you can have to revise what you have studied, and along with that, we have compilations also available, like you have PT 365. So those of the aspirants who have studied monthly magazines, they can just look at the topics of PT 365, and if they have covered it, then that can just be a revision exercise for them. If there are aspirants who have not done that work of going through the monthly current affairs, then at this stage they can pick up a compilation. It will be a little bit more streamlined because PT 365 is written with the orientation of the prelims exam. So that might be more helpful. So if you've done a source earlier, please revise that. If you want to pick something up, pick a compiled source like PT 365. As far as watching any other videos or any other sources, I don't think that is going to be very helpful, especially with the contingency of time which we have. So at this stage, aspirants can stop doing those exercises of Sunset TV and anything else. A newspaper reading, I would personally like to recommend that at least an idea of what the issues are going on, at least a basic reference to the headlines that connect with current affairs, basic idea, that needs to be there. Even if maybe you don't have the time to elaborately prepare this month's magazine, or maybe May you will not be able to do, but reading the newspaper I think is an inexcusable exercise for a UPSC aspirant that he'll have to continue, maybe spending a little less time on it and focusing more on learning and understanding the current affairs which he has studied, or PT 365.
So, ma'am, you highlighted upon the revision, which is crucial for the student. In measuring revision, test papers play a key role. In this context, VisionIAS is coming up with Abhyaas. So, ma'am, what is Abhyaas all about? What are its features that set it apart?
Abhyaas is going to be a prelims mock test. So there are going to be 3 days dedicated to Abhyaas, where general studies and CSAT. both tests are going to be conducted in a very similar UPSC exam kind of environment. Same timing, 9:30 GS, 2:30 CSAT. In some school, the aspirant is going to be given the center. We are conducting this in 100 plus cities, and the pattern level of the exam is going to be very similar to UPSC. So before you sit for the UPSC exam, you have this whole mock drill. And the biggest advantage is that children, aspirants in 100 plus cities are giving the exam on that same day. You get your all India rank, and you will get a very good reality check of your performance. Along with that, you get that whole experience of the exam environment, and any problems you are facing, you have the opportunity to work on your skill of actually sitting in the exam and writing the exam. So this can be a very good opportunity for aspirants to have that whole UPSC experience before the actual UPSC exam.
So, ma'am, one follow-up question. How can a student effectively integrate Abhyas into his or her preparation?
Mrigank, Abhyaas has been helping aspirants for a very long time now. Even this year, as the result has just come, we have seen so many of our toppers in top 10 also. Rank 1, if I have to mention specifically, Aditya Srivastav has been a part of the Abhyaas program. The student gets to see his performance, he gets to analyze, he gets to attempt the exam, and he'll have a very good idea as to which areas are working for him, which areas are not working for him, how many questions is he supposed to attempt, how many questions, what is his accuracy, in different areas, and his preparation from there. I think with every Abhyas, he can learn that this part needs more preparation, right? Then in the next Abhyas, he can improve on that part. Maybe he works out on the idea that maybe I'm attempting less questions, so he can improve that. He has 3 chances to do that. And we see this every time that aspirants who prepare very well and take this Abhyas very seriously, for them, the final UPSC exam is like the 4th extension of the Abhyas, right? That will be the 4th Abhyas because they have had 3 very similar experiences. So they need to look at this from the idea that they identify their performance subject wise. They need to get an idea of where they are in terms of their all India ranking and how they move their preparation from there.
So, ma'am, from students' point of view, if I talk about, let's say after the exam, I give Abhyas, and after the exam, I require some sort of support. Are there any options?
Yes, definitely. This program is very comprehensive in that sense. An Abhyas aspirant can come contact VisionIAS. They can avail mentoring services where they'll get a personalized one-on-one interaction on whatever challenges they are facing. We give a very detailed post-test analysis with solutions. We also provide a test discussion for all these Abhyas tests. So the student is covered for all his post-test requirements.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for comprehensively covering Abhyas. Now, ma'am, coming to subject specific discussion. Now, a student has doubts about general science because they don't know how to integrate general science with science and technology or with respect to other things that they are doing. So, ma'am, what is your advice in these last 2 months?
For general science, I would like to specify that the nature of questions which UPSC is asking, that is very basic. They are not asking very factual questions. They are asking questions where they expect you to know the concept. So, the primary content would be from current affairs only. The themes would be from current affairs, but they have to go back and understand what is the concept behind it. They might not ask the development in the current affair, but they'll ask how this works. Like one particular theme, if I have to specify, will be Nobel Prizes. And not just this year's Nobel Prizes of the past 3 years at least. The student has to go back and study them. He has to understand. Like this year, Nobel Prize in Medicine was on the mRNA vaccine. So they will not ask who got the Nobel Prize. They're going to ask how this vaccine works. What is an mRNA? Those are the kind of questions which UPSC has been asking. It has become very conceptual. They expect very clear ideas, a lot of clarity in this area. And to prepare for this specifically, basic NCRTs are very helpful. So I would recommend aspirants to at least have gone through 6 to 8 standard NCRTs at least, basic. And depending on whatever topic they are looking for, they can refer to 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th NCRTs. Again, here comprehensive and cover to cover reading is not required, but chapter wise. If you're looking for something, like if you're looking for mRNA vaccine, look for the chapter where vaccine is given. It's probably in your class 12th. So you can just read that part, right? Or if it works for you, you can maybe do a quick search, or maybe your current affairs notes explain that. So main simplified understanding of this will be identify themes from the current affairs and go back to their basic concepts. This part can give you a very good edge. There are normally around 5 questions from this section, and these 5 questions, if you're able to attempt 3 or 4 of them correctly, this is a very big advantage for aspirants, because this is how they match up that gap, to cross over the cutoff line. And especially because this is an area which is neglected by a lot of aspirants, right? They feel that, okay, maybe we'll leave it. There are bigger subjects to cater to. That strategy works fine. But when you know the syllabus and when you have the opportunity of getting these additional, 6 marks or 8 marks, then I feel at this stage, this should become a very prominent point in your strategy.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, ma'am, in your talk, you have brilliantly covered the academic portion. Now, if I may ask you about the non-academic challenges, students, since 2 months are remaining, students are facing a lot of stress and anxiety, due to which they are also feeling a little bit demotivated. So, ma'am, in this respect, what is your advice for the students, and what would you like to talk to our students to motivate them?
See, positivity is going to play a very, very big role. You have to tell yourself every day that this is possible. And if you prepare well with the decent preparation, which you have been doing for 1 year, I think you should give yourself credit for that. UPSC aspirants, I keep focusing on what is left. What is left, what they have not done, and they did not see what all they have been doing. You've been putting sincere effort for a long time, 1 year, 2 year, whatever is your personal story. So that needs to be in your mind. You keep testing yourself, you follow your schedule, you give yourself sufficient breaks. The idea of stress, anxiety is that we have not given emphasis to the breaks. We only emphasizing on how much we have to study. So that has to change. And in terms of advice or suggestion, one very basic thing which I want to tell aspirants is that they have to work on their day's cycle. A lot of aspirants are in a habit of studying a lot, especially when it comes closer to the exam, and in that also studying more at night. That cycle has to shift, because what happens is you have to have that experience that 9:30 or 2:30 pe, your brain should be working at its highest efficiency. So you need to wake up early. You need to make sure that if you are writing a test, maybe you're choosing those slots to write the test. Maybe you are not sleeping at that time. You're taking meals, you're taking a lunch which doesn't make you drowsy, because you have a CSAT exam to write, which is going to require a lot of alertness. Diet is very important at this stage. You have to be very careful that you don't fall sick. You have to invest in some form of physical activity, because preparation at this stage, it's lonely, it's depressing. So treat yourself, maybe go out 5 minutes walk or something. Again, this can be an individualistic things, but these things are important. I know that feeling of something will be left, that might be there, but you have to treat yourself with a lot of kindness, to be relaxed, because that's the only way where you can get maximum work from your brain on that final day of 16th June.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your insights.
Thank you, Mrigang. It's been a pleasure coming here and talking to our aspirants.
Dear aspirants, in your journey to success, remember that resilience and determination are your greatest allies. We at VisionIAS are always there to support you. Have faith in yourselves. Best wishes from VisionIAS.